Is something really different about Jungkook? And why is everyone suddenly talking about it? What changed? When did it begin? And what truth lies behind this quiet shift? Stay until the end and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as we uncover a story filled with mystery, emotion, and a difference you can't ignore. What if the change wasn't loud, but impossible to unsee once you noticed it? What if something had been shifting slowly, quietly, right in front of millions of eyes, and only now people are beginning to talk about it? And what if the question isn't just what changed, but why it feels so different this time? Before you scroll past this, ask yourself honestly, did you feel it too? That subtle shift in presence, in expression, in the way Jungkook carries himself lately. Not dramatic, not obvious, but enough to make you pause and wonder. Something is different, isn't it? At first, no one said anything. Not because there was nothing to notice, but because what was happening didn't fit into clear words. It wasn't a drastic transformation. There was no single moment that could be pointed to as the beginning. Instead, it felt like something that had been building slowly, almost invisibly, until one day the difference became impossible to ignore. It started in fragments. A look that lingered just a second longer. A pause that felt heavier than usual. A presence that seemed more grounded, yet more distant at the same time. These weren't changes that demanded attention, but they invited it, quietly, persistently. And then people began to talk. Not loudly at first, not in a way that created headlines, but in small conversations, subtle observations, shared feelings that something had shifted. One person noticing something here, another feeling something there. And as those observations connected, a pattern began to form. Something is different. But what exactly? That's where the story becomes complicated. Because the change people are sensing does not exist in a single visible action. It is not tied to one event, one statement, or one moment. It exists in the space between moments, in the way things feel rather than what they clearly are. And that makes it harder to explain but easier to feel. There is a certain familiarity that comes with watching someone over time. Patterns form, expectations settle. A rhythm develops that feels consistent and reliable. And when that rhythm shifts even slightly, it is noticed, not because it is obvious, but because it breaks something that once felt certain. For Jungkook, that rhythm has been part of his identity in the public eye for years. His presence has always carried a certain energy. Focused, expressive, deeply connected. It is something fans have come to recognize instantly. But now that energy feels different. Not absent, not diminished, but changed. More measured, perhaps. More reflective. There is a sense of awareness that wasn't as visible before. A quiet control that suggests something deeper is happening beneath the surface. And this is where the emotional layer begins to emerge. Because change like this does not happen without reason. It is shaped by time, by experience, by moments that leave an impact, even if they are never shared. It is influenced by the balance between public life and private reality, between expectation and self-understanding. And in a life as visible as Jungkook's, that balance is constantly shifting. There is also something else that cannot be ignored, the weight of being seen. Not just occasionally, but constantly. Every expression observed, every movement interpreted, every moment turned into meaning. Over time, this creates a unique kind of pressure, not always visible, not always acknowledged, but always present. And within that pressure, change becomes inevitable. Not as a reaction, but as a process. A process of adapting, of understanding, of redefining what it means to exist in that space. A process that happens quietly, internally, long before it becomes visible to others. So when fans say something feels different, they are not imagining it. They are sensing the result of that process. But sensing is not the same as understanding. And this is where curiosity turns into something deeper. Because the more people notice, the more they begin to ask questions. When did this start? What caused it? Is it something positive, something difficult, or simply something natural? These questions do not have clear answers, and perhaps they are not meant to, because the truth behind change is rarely simple. It is layered, complex, shaped by experiences that cannot always be explained from the outside. It belongs to the person living it, not to those observing it. And yet, observation continues, because connection creates attention. Fans do not just watch, they feel, they notice, they interpret. They build an understanding based on what they see, even if that understanding is incomplete. And in this case, what they see is enough to know that something is not exactly the same. There is also a certain tension that comes with this realization. Not a negative tension, but an emotional one. A mix of curiosity and concern, of admiration and uncertainty. Because when something changes, especially something familiar, it creates a need to understand why. But not all changes come with explanations. Some simply exist. And this may be one of them. A quiet evolution unfolding in real time, visible only in fragments, felt more than it is defined. As time moves forward, the conversation continues. More people begin to notice. More perspectives are shared. More interpretations emerge. But the core of the story remains the same. Something is different. And that difference matters not because it needs to be solved, but because it reflects something real. Something human. Because behind the image, behind the performances, behind the constant presence, there is a person experiencing time, growth, and change just like anyone else. The only difference is that this process is happening in front of the world. And that makes every shift, no matter how small, feel larger than it might otherwise be. So now the question is no longer just what changed, but how we understand that change. Do we see it as something to analyze, to define, to explain? Or do we allow it to exist as it is? A natural part of growth, complex and not always fully visible. If you have felt that difference even slightly, then you are already part of this story. Not because you have the answers, but because you have noticed the question. And sometimes that is where the most meaningful understanding begins. So don't let the curiosity stop here. Share what you feel. Reflect on what you've seen. Because sometimes the most important stories are not the ones that are clearly told, but the ones that everyone can feel, even if no one can fully explain. And as that feeling continues to spread, something even more intriguing begins to happen. People don't just notice the change, they begin to respond to it in ways that reveal just how deeply connected they are to Jungkook. Because when a shift like this occurs, it doesn't stay contained within the individual. It ripples outward, touching perception, emotion, and even expectation. At first, the reactions are subtle. A comment here, question there, a quiet observation shared between fans who aren't entirely sure what they're seeing, but know they're not imagining it. The tone of these reactions is not dramatic. It is thoughtful, almost cautious, as if people are trying to understand something that cannot be easily defined. But as more voices join, the subtlety turns into momentum. The conversations grow. The curiosity deepens. And what once felt like an isolated observation begins to feel like a collective realization. Something has shifted. And yet, the more people talk about it, the more they realize how difficult it is to explain. Because the change is not in what Jungkook does, it is in how it feels. That difference is important. Actions can be analyzed, broken down, compared. Feelings cannot. They exist in interpretation, in perception, in the